Welcome to Bunny's Designs. This is a live show with live peoples. It's recorded for YouTube, for Ustream.tv, and also for YouTube for people to watch at their leisure. I'm working on a Bennett Klein page. I think this is Wild, this one. I tend to kind of buy them online so you can print them out on slightly stronger paper. And it seems to work quite well. It's going to take that almost to its dark colour. So I've worked quite pale with this one. So if we turn this round really carefully, you should see a butterfly. So we can decide to go paler up here. So I think I'm going to really, although the shading, because it's grayscale. So I'm using my blendable pens. And I'm actually using the bullet end this time. So I'm going to do this one slightly different. I've been doing them individually, or you can do them all at once. There's two different ways to work this way. Always test the point. And I think I'm going to do this section, so start here and then kind of go. You can do smaller sections and you get the nice grade. So again, you push the end up to the bullet chamber and let them just kiss. You don't want to be forced on. Some go on better than others. Quick test. And that's very pale. So that's really pale, so I'm just going to do this top bit here. And again, I mean, this is just a practice. I haven't played with them for quite a while. My daughter took them to university to use, so I haven't used them for quite a while. So I've moved the camera so that you can see probably. You've got to be comfortable and you need to keep going to get that gorgeous kind of blend. So I like the idea that this one is paler, and so obviously this is a leaf that's slightly behind. But I do want the pale tip. And the only way to find about how many seconds you need for each particular area is to play. So I did a butterfly last night and I went dark to light and light to dark, and I did a whole page of practice. Now I said I did play with these last year, but it's quite fun. And because they're quite chunky, or very chunky, you can pull the top off quite easily. Again, just test. That turned a little bit too quick, did that one, but never mind. Because this will be quite a big area to do all at once, I'm doing it in sections. Of course, we're getting a bit darker now, so. And that's all there is to it. You just hold it completely vertical. Do a little mark on a page and then just go across till you get to your original colour. So I'm going to turn that round carefully, and a butterfly emerges. So we've got still the light hitting the top, and then you must remember to put the tops on, and I put both on and push. And then I'm not putting any strains on my fingers then. So now we have the flowers, and we have the little, I don't know if it's a little mole, or I don't actually know what it is. And I'm working with the chameleons, my fabulous set of chameleons, and they sit quite nicely there. You need them handy, and I think that this is the full set of 50, but there is a set of 20, but the box actually won an award. So you just flip the lid down, and there is a little bit of plastic which sits into there, and then you just slide a cover on. But they're so easy to use. And then you have the stand. So you're taking one out and putting it back. I've rearranged mine slightly different. I've got my colours. I've got my dark greens, light greens, yellows. Put that one in the wrong place. So I've got my light yellows and my dark yellows, oranges, reds, pinks, pinky purples, bluey purples, blues, cold blues, green blues, and the very coldest blue, Lagoon, BG1, is a blue-green. Is almost like a grey-green. So then I've put my greys here from light to dark. And then on this side I've got all my nudes, my natural colours. Hopefully all in order, and they're not. So we've got NU3 and NU2, NU1, NU0 and NU00. And that lends to browns, reddy browns, and then my dark browns. And then we have a black here. Oops, I just want to change those round because I didn't change them round before. And I do have a warm grey. I have a WG3 and a WG7. So they're a warm grey, but my cold greys are here with the blues. But my warm greys are with the browns. So that's how I've put them in colour order. So I've changed them round. And thank you to a wonderful friend in the box who sent me a fantastic voucher. I managed to get the toppers as well. So this is my Christmas present. I've waited a long time to have a play. So thank you, Melody Dying. Wonderful, wonderful present. My babies. I want to stroke them like I stroke Bungle. So there's 50 colours here, and every pen has 10 tones. But if you've got poly hands, or you want to colour for a long time, these are brilliant because they are so big. Got my ruler with me. I found my old ruler which I've had about 10 years. So they are 22 centimetres. I think they're about 10 inches long. So they're 22 and they're quite fat. They're 1.5 centimetres in diameter. But they are very chunky and they are fantastic for colouring for a long time if you've got poly hands. And at the top here, which I can't get out because my hands don't work really well, in here are I haven't actually looked in here, I would think there's the tweezers. The tweezers are especially designed to change the nibs, and in here we've got all the nibs, spare nibs. And as a tight Yorkshire lass, the reason I originally got them is because my daughter was at uni doing graphic design, and these are fab for graphics. But the smaller box she has, she can put, it's about an A5 size, but it's about this. It's just about that thickness. So it's quite handy for her to take to college every day. And she has technically 200 colours because she has a set of 20. So she has, in theory, 200 colours that she can take to university every day and use. She's now doing illustration and animation, and these are fantastic for art students as well. And the fact that she's got all those markers in her backpack, where normally if you wanted to have 200 colours, they would clutter your desk or they'd be too heavy to carry every single day. So I love this book, and the other one just has a plastic sleeve that slides on top. But I gave them to her because she wanted some markers, and she'd not used markers before, so she wasn't used to using Copic and the Pro markers and all the others. And so she found this system really easy, just blending with a blending solution to change the tonal value of the dark pen. And the idea of the toppers is they brought out the toppers so that you can mix two colours together, and you can go tonally from a blue to a green, or a green to a blue, yellow to green. We have a friend. We have a friend. A fairy friend's appeared again. Hello, Bungle. So this is our Bungle, who seems to be hogging the limelight at the moment. So I've been stroking Bungle, but I've been stroking my new babies. So you're going to sit there, are you? Is that where you want to sit? Yes, okay then. You're going to sleep now. We're hoping he's going to have a nap. We're going to have a nap, Bungle? Yes. Now technically this is his room. It's my new studio, but it's his house as well. This is his room with Betsy Doodles. Don't put your paw on there, it might be dirty. Thank you. Thank you. You're going to have time out with him. You're going to purr. He wants to play. We're not playing today. It's Thursday. Thursdays be good day. And that's time out. Because we've got waiting for the concrete to dry out. You get spits everywhere. So, thank you, Melody, for this wonderful, wonderful present. Absolutely loved it. That Amazon gremlin popped out again. So sometime today there should be 2 more arriving for these toppers, because they come in sections. Just reach them. So we have floral tones, which is that one with the mauve. And we have pastel tones, which are these. We have warm tones, which are these. Earth tones, which are these. So like olive greens and hot cocoa and bark. Blue tones is all those cool blues. And cool tones are the purple ones. So we've got sky blue, violet, aquamarine, deep violet and purple grey. And then we have the grey tones. And I can't decide what to do. I'm going to do a colour wheel. I'll come back to that in a second. So I tried to do one yesterday. And I've seen that somebody's done a colour wheel, and you have the dark tones on the outside. But I want to do it on a huge piece of paper, so that I can do the toppers on the outside. So I'm going to do the favourite colour tones. So you have on ivy, you have a yellow tip on a dark green, But I'm also going to do the complementary colours as well, so you can see how that affects things. So this is my practice little tap. Always do a little practice mark before you touch your page, because if you get towards the end and you put a darker colour, you'll be very cross with yourself. And then underneath I have a couple of pieces of photocopy paper to stop it bleeding through, but it does bleed through. It goes straight through photocopy paper. But that doesn't matter, it's fine. So I need the flowers, so I need to think about these flowers and the kind of bear. We can do browns or greys. We have some nice browns. There's a caramel and there's a taupe colour. And I think actually I would have these together, and then I would have these going up in tonal value. So they should sit brown 1, neutral 4, or that could be nude actually 4. I might put nude 4 next to there. And then we have BR1, BR2 and BR5. That's a BR4. Now you see BR4 to me is darker, burnt umber. So I'm going to put them like this. But I may change when I do the colour wheel. And then I'm going to put the nude next to the nude. And that's a BR3 is the cinnamon. I think I like them like that. Now I could change and put the cinnamon BR3 with the reds, because I do have a burgundy, which is a red, an RD5. So that's looking something like. So I'm going by colour rather than what they're called. But just temp, I'll put them in that particular order. Let me see. I just love the fact you can get them all out and put them all away. That's quite nice. One thing I did do though is I worked backwards, so I had my palest brown there, so that works quite well. I kind of like them in that kind of order. The desk set out, so I have the pens here and I have the toppers here. And these are very clever, these. I will take the tops off because I want to have a play. My hands do not work very well. I did have to get my husband to open these because they arrive in cellophane. I have a very bad arthritis in my hands, so obviously it would be easier for somebody else. So my tea boy's gone, bless him. So they're all together. These little containers hook together. And I can't get them out now, but if you have fingers that work quite well, there we go. So you can have them all in a row, or you can have them side by side, or you can have them like this. But actually, I kind of like them like this. I haven't decided what I'm going to do yet. I mean, you could put them underneath, maybe. Can you fit underneath? So I have them next to my other pens. I'll have a play and see how I get. So you could just pull them out like this. Oh, I think that'll work quite well. So one has a little V and the other one has a little notch, and the notch goes in. And they do go in quite well, it's just my hands don't work particularly well. I think I like them like that actually. So turn them round so that notch just sits in there. But so again, I think I'm going to put mine in order. I wonder if we could sit them on top of there, perhaps. But they're going to stay there for the moment. So they're quite nice. You can just get them out. Even the bottom ones, because we don't need as much room. Bubblegum pink. It's quite nice. So I'll zoom in a little bit. And we can see, I was trying a slightly different angle. Hopefully we can still see that. Yes, my new bungles, my new babies. They're just so gorgeous. They're like, it's when you look in a box of Smarties and you just see all those gorgeous colours. Oops, wrong way. So this is quite a nice way to work. You've got things that are handy. And I did manage to put this on a cushion on my legs. I put a cushion on my legs and then I put this on the cushion, and because it had this little kind of corner, it didn't dig into me, but it went into the cushion. It didn't move. And then I had the cushion tray in front of it, so it worked really well. Even working on the sofa or in bed, it would still work quite well, because you could have those, they're not heavy enough to hurt you, to sit on your legs on a cushion. Obviously you can't kick your feet about a bit, but so I think the light's not too bad today, so I'm going to have a bit of a play. This is only a practice. I've done a couple of things before. I did this one on Tuesday night, and then I did that one last night. So I'm playing about with them, but this is only the traditional way of working with these, which is one tone, just using the tonal chamber. But of course with the toppers we can do so much more. But I'll have a play with that on the next video. So this is part 2, because part 1 shut itself off, so apologies, this is part 2. Now I will have a go at trying to join them together, but me and technology. So I'm quite pleased with the butterfly. I think I want the camel and the hot chocolate. I think I'll look at those. And again, it's good to have that bit of paper, and you can actually use, instead of using your thumb and your finger, you can use your whole hand and hold them like that, because it's difficult to pull them apart with your hands. So these are really good if you've got arthritis. Now I do like that colour, so again I'm just going to use the blending, and I always kind of put that somewhere safe because I lost one last night. So I'm going to use the bullet end, and again you don't want to force it on. I twist mine until they kiss, and it's not quite pushed on the whole way. And then we count, kind of like a fairly pale bit on his nose, and it's a big space, so you wouldn't want to do it all at once, so you're going to do it in bits. So again, just test it out, and that's really clear, that. So again, I've got to turn it round to be comfortable, so we're just going to swish round here, and this is very pale. So I'm going to, instead of taking it right back to its natural colour, I'm stopping it. So I've got to there, I'm taking it back. And I want to take this now. Further round. And this is NU4, this is the caramel colour. So wait for them to kiss. And this is how you do the face of a person with the different colours, obviously, because you can manipulate this. So although it's quite pale here, once it starts to go, you can match it up. So we take it back to its pale. And I used to count, but it's so boring listening to the count. So I'm going to turn him round, and I'm going round the snout now. Again, building up colour. Letting them kiss. So this time I want to do this side here. So again, now sometimes you've got, oops. So I'm just going to do something backwards to go into the snout. And you can work over these markers over and over again. So again, that's quite nice. We've got pale, and we'll go to a bit of dark there. So we have a bit of a highlight on his nose. Then we can have this highlight back and take it back to there. And eventually you learn, have a bit of a, eventually you learn how to control the blending solution so that you can manipulate from one side to the other. When you first start, you might find this slightly more difficult, but you learn that the pen will change colour, so you can manipulate that to your advantage. And you start to know that you can kind of go over things. Again, you can use your watercolour skills for the lights and the darks. But eventually, I think I'm going to go this way with this one to create the darkness. And you can work in little circular motions if you don't want to get that kind of effect. You can work in, and remember that this is a grayscale, so we've already got all that help anyway. And I think I'm going to take that down to be dark. And again, we can just take that really nice. Take it down to dark. And then you can start to play a bit. And there is a blendable pen here that you can kind of manipulate the colour to blend it a bit more if you want. Now, I did get quite a big blend for that, so I'm going to start here. So you can start playing about with the blending things. Blend out again, but you can go over and over and over again, as long as your paper will stand it. So if you kind of find yourself in hot water, and then you know you've got to stop because it's going to get darker. So you can go to darker places and build up a little bit of your darker tones. Oh yes, Melody, yeah. It blends. The blender works the same as the other blender, or more to lift off colour. Oh, thank you, V, thank you. So you can kind of so what I'm going to do with this one, I'm going to do this one in sections. Again, it's starting and working down, so that's going to give me the highlight. Now I've seen people do things in kind of little circular motions, so it depends how you want to work, left to right or little circles. You can do little circles if it's fur, because I think that gives you a better tone, but I've started now. And that one isn't quite enough, so I'll just turn it upside down. You've got to keep them vertical because the colour will run into your chamber and you'll damage you'll contaminate the clear liquid with too much colour. That happened to me with the red tone. Now I actually want that to go from pale to dark, so I don't think I'm going to... Let me just see what happens. I've created a line, but I can get rid of it. So we'll do the flowers next. I think we might do purple flowers. And I didn't use that for long enough, so... So again... bit darker under there, so I have a bit of a line there, so I'm going to just put that like this. And again turn that upside down so we've got a bit of a natural, and now I'm going to take that from light to dark. So you've got, sometimes you can kind of, whoopsie, that was a bit dark, but again, yeah, this is the practice. And I want it quite dark behind that butterfly because I want the butterfly to stand out a bit. Oh, I have some cold tea, some cold coffee at the moment. And my tea boy has gone away today. My husband's gone to Edinburgh today. So I've lost my tea boy. So when you turn that round, you have a few little highlights. Now it's not perfect, but it's not so bad. I've got some nice highlights. Just bear with me a second. There we go. Sorry about that, guys. Bungle was having a moment. So we've got, so what you can do is this way. And I want to go into there. And then I'm going to turn it around and go back. Oh, hi Kanga, welcome to Bunny's Designs. I live in North Yorkshire, so on the train it's a couple of hours. So we're a couple of hours from Edinburgh and a couple of hours from London. So we are classed as the north of England. And you can get a little bit of a highlight on there. But I may just see if I can. I think I can just. And because this is underneath, it's going to be the true colour. Again, always test, and then I'm going to quite a nice little highlight on that one. We want to work backwards now. Sorry, I'm just laughing at Bungle. So it's quite a cute little, I've forgotten what creature this is now, so forgive me. But with the grayscale you could just colour straight over it. It's probably not a very good example. So we put our topper in to protect our bullet end and to push. And I push all the clickers together, and I know the lids are on because I have a tendency to have problems with nibs and tops, and these are wonderful, they just go on and on. But you do have to remember to make sure the lids are on, just like you would any other marker. I think I'm going to have a deep violet. Yeah, I think we'll have this colour. So this is VO4 Deep Violet. So again, I normally pull the chambers off, put the lid on the bullet end. And that means that when I'm pulling this end off, it's easier for me. And again, we just very gently kiss. And this is quite nice, but sometimes you might count to 10, sometimes it might be just 2 or 3. But I'm still doing my tester. And it didn't kiss. I would have gone into there with deep purple. So it's always a good idea to test. So I'm going to do, I think I'm going to do this one first. That one. Oh, I might do a smaller one. I'm going to work backwards. So pale. And I could find another one because it's quite pale, that one. To go quite deep. And this is what you can try and do. You can learn to kind of do different areas. So you can get that lovely grade. I'll zoom in and you can see a bit better. Oh yes, I'll try on the next one, Melody. I'll try on the next one. I'll just use this one for this particular bit. So I'll zoom in a bit and then you can see a bit better. So that's the bear and the butterfly. So we're going to work on the flower. So again, just do the kiss. They just want to kiss and turn them upright. And got that lovely pale, which has gone dark. And with ordinary markers, I think it'd take you quite a while to get that lovely grade. Oh, Mel says pink top with lilac. Well, I do have a flower one to do in a little while. I shall try that. I shall try that, Melody. I'm sure it's a whole new world. So pink top. And I've got a pink top with a lilac. Have I lost my lilac? I've got a deep violet, lavender, I haven't got. Do you mean? I wonder if it would go on that one. Do you think it would go with this one, which is violet? I can find peony, but I can't find. Oh, the one I'm using now. Yes, right. So I'll leave that one out. That should be wonderful. Let me just test what I've done. Haven't done it. So I have another flower somewhere. So again, this flower goes this way. So I've got that very pale. Just keep going until you get to the dark. So you end up with such a wonderful, wonderful shade. But then with the toppers, as Melody said, you get the most fantastic and again, you've got to be comfortable. So once you start, and try not to go over the edges. Now, I used to put, if I'm doing something that's a bit big, I could put a ruler or a pen to stop you, or your finger to stop you. Just so they kiss. And that dark is going to make the next highlight kind of really pop out. Now this one is a bit quite as dark, so it won't take as long to get. And I think I'm just going to go in there with that one. And again, you'll find that you can do that. You can use one and go to the next one. because this one will be hidden because of his paw. And then turn that one round and then get that lovely pale on there. Take that down to some dark, and again just so they kiss upright, a couple of minutes, sorry, a couple of seconds. It all depends on your flower, and this is why you need to practice. So, and once you start a technique, it's always good to stay with that for that particular flower, because it'll look odd. But they do work so well. And this one's going to be very pale anyway. Another way of doing it is to do this, to create a little bit of texture. And this is quite a big one as well. I'm going to turn that round so it's going to be comfortable to work. It has to be comfortable to work because once you start, you can't stop. But what that does is it makes that highlight pop out. And just so they kiss, and I'll do that one next. And of course when you get to your darks, you can really fill them in so they're kind of really going to look good. And it's all one pen. So, again, I want a pale. So they're really good to use if you've got pulley hands, or if you want to colour for a long time, you could do that with these. So again, round and round. You mustn't stop if you want, and if you can go that little bit faster, you won't get your lines. So this is to do 2 blends on one pass. On one, I've managed to find a natural kind of crease in the petal, so that can help me to get that seamless blend. If I'd have gone all the way around, by the time I'd got back it would be dark, so sometimes it's good to kind of break a section up into smaller sections, and that can be very pale, and go down to that. So I'm just going to go over that one because that one's going to be darker. So if you're not happy with something, you can go back to it. And I'm working on this one next. And I want a bit of darkness. I think I'm going to go under there. And it'll make I think that was actually a leaf, not a petal, but do the test and then we can start with this. And because you do it counting separately and the petals are slightly different sizes, you're getting a slight different variation. And this one will be quite pale. And it doesn't really bother me that I'm having to count. It really doesn't bother me at all. But you can really create a sense of curls in them. So thanks guys for stopping by. I hope everybody's having a decent day. It's a bit miserable where we are in the UK as per usual. Just let that blend for a little bit longer, so you've got to keep it completely vertical, otherwise the colour from the pen will run into your chamber and it will contaminate it, and you won't always get the colour that you wanted. And there's a bit of dark on that one. And so this one I'm going to do in 2 runs as well. Oops. So we should do this one first. And then I'm going to do this one slightly paler, so it'll show that it's on the outside. So this one, and again your wrist wants to be comfortable. And if you're not satisfied, you can go over it again and drag out the colour. So I'm going to do that little bit under here first. Oh right, I'll try that melody, we'll try that. I'll have a go. I'm going to have a bit of a play with the toppers, but I wanted to use those with a bigger spaces. So we've got that pale coming down. And that went dark far too quickly, but that's fine. That was because it was a big space. So what I now have to do is to make sure that the tip gets in there. And if that happens, you can either leave it, and it looks like a different petal anyway, so it doesn't look completely lost. I think I'm going to do the bigger sections, smaller. Oopsie. That could be the postman. That could be the postman. Oh, do bear with me, guys. I think that's the postman. I'll be back in a second, guys. So that's... I'll pan out very quickly, see if I can catch the postman. So that's where we are so far with our Chameleon pens and our Bennett Klein. Thank you for watching.